Je vais mettre ici. C'est parler lentement, parler fort, bien respirer. Laisser la salle respirer pour soi. N'est-ce pas?
OK. Je vais inviter les gens.
Amener les gens.
Je vais inviter les gens d'apprendre lancer.
Ouais.
Okay, we would invite everyone to take their seats once again, please. Veuillez prendre vos sièges. I know the patio is very popular. It's beautiful. Parfait, parfait. Mon Dieu, qu'ils sont disciplinés, Guillaume. J'ai jamais vu ça. C'est rare des journalistes disciplinés de même.
C'est vrai, hein? Very.
Bonsoir, bonsoir.
The discipline is very surprising, I have to say.
En fait, c'est les journalistes parlementaires le problème.
Exactly. The press gallery dinner is not as disciplined, and honestly, they're going to hear from it. This is great, actually. Thank you so much. Wow. So much.
Okay. Ben, bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening, friends and colleagues. Bienvenue au gala des prix de l'Association canadienne des journalistes.
Yes, welcome to the Canadian Association of Journalists Awards Gala. Encore une fois, je m'appelle Guillaume Saint-Pierre du Journal de Montréal.
And my name is Catherine Levesque, and I work for National Post. Yes, serious journalists do write for our newspapers. It's not just Jordan Peterson.
Or Mathieu Bocoté. Welcome to Ottawa, everyone, the center of the universe.
Yeah, sure, if the universe closed at 8 p.m. on a Friday.
Non, mais sans farce, il y a quand même moyen d'avoir du plaisir à Ottawa. Il faut juste traverser la rivière ou faire 2 heures pour aller à Montréal. C'est une blague.
Bienvenue dans la seule capitale bilingue du pays où on peut parler l'anglais et le Google Translate.
Yeah. It's a language of its own, for sure. We will be your Laurentian elites for the evening. Speaking of Laurentian elites, 2 bilingual Quebecers to host a national awards gala. With the referendum coming soon out west, great way to build bridges, guys. So I guess we're going to party like it's 1995.
Woo! So the theme of this year's conference is Power, Platforms, and the Press.
T'as-tu dit deep press? C'est vrai que c'est un peu deep press, le journalisme. Now, on a more serious note, one of the pillars of the industry, Bob Fife, just retired recently.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was talking today, I think.
He did. And he said in a recent interview that newsrooms are so understaffed right now that 75% of the federal government just does not get covered these days.
And that's exactly why, when the Prime Minister visits your community from coast to coast, we really appreciate it when you ask your Ottawa bureaus questions on your phone like this.
Sorry.
Your colleagues in Ottawa thank you for everything you do. Seriously. Bon, ce soir est l'occasion de mettre de l'avant le travail de jeunes et de moins jeunes qui font vivre le journalisme d'un bout à l'autre du pays.
Because choosing this career and staying in this profession is almost an act of faith these days. So many of us saw friends and colleagues leave the industry in search of a better pay, better conditions, just a normal life. All that to realize years later that they absolutely made the right decision for themselves.
Hopefully by the end of the evening, they don't hate us as much as our readers do. En tout cas, Guillaume, il s'en est passé des choses dans la dernière année.
We now have a prime minister that is so conservative that even Post Media isn't sure how to criticize him.
Cannot confirm. PSPP. Was that Chris Curtis? PSPP et Yves-François Blanchet sont maintenant les meilleurs amis du monde, au grand plaisir de Pierre Carl.
On les salue. Stephen Guilbeault will soon be looking for a new gig. Anyone from the Narwhal here maybe can talk to?
Puis si ça ne marche pas pour Alexandre Boulris à QS, ben, il y a toujours de la place pour les has-beens aux mordus de politique.
Oh, j'adore ça.
Ça va faire changement de Françoise Boivin.
Speaking of has-beens, Pierre Poilievre is still yelling at his caucus, but that's old news, I guess.
And in true Mark Carney fashion, the Prime Minister also stole that idea. He's now yelling at the Toronto Star. Also.
The NDP has a new leader. I don't know if you heard about that. Apparently, it's Naomi Klein's husband.
Since we struggled to come up with a joke about Avi Lewis, we're just going to quote NDP interim leader Don Davies. It's not the size of the caucus that matters, it's what you do with it.
That's true joke, he said at the press
yeah,
conference. It's amazing. With all the talk of separation underway in Alberta, this might be the last CAJ for some of you. So enjoy it.
Okay. Good luck with the AAJs to our Western colleagues next year. Jason?
Okay, let's get on with the awards. Buckle up. This is going to be nearly as long as the Oscars, guys. I am not joking. Look at the script. It's pretty hefty. On va remettre les prix à CJ dans les deux langues. Je dois mentionner qu'on a une fois de plus un nombre record de soumissions avec 561, ainsi qu'un nombre record de finalistes en français. Bravo.
C'est bien. Ça augmente.
Ça va faire changement de la FPJQ où c'est tout le temps la presse puis Radcan qui gagne. C'est un peu fatigant.
Once again this year, we're giving out gold and silver prizes in every category. If we announce you as the silver winner, we invite you to come up to the table and collect your certificates from Jason.
From Jason.
Here, just go around. And if you win the gold prize in your category, you can come up to the microphone in our spot and give a brief thank you speech. But please be brief. We like to go to bed early here in Ottawa. If you are joining by Zoom and you win gold, we will unmute you and you can speak to our gala and everyone watching on YouTube.
Donc, encore une fois, cette année, les prix argent et or seront donnés dans chaque catégorie. Si vous gagnez l'argent, venez à la table recevoir votre certificat. Et si vous gagnez l'or, vous allez pouvoir prononcer un petit discours. Donc, vous allez pouvoir prendre notre place et vous adresser à tout le monde. Si vous nous joignez par Zoom et gagnez l'or, nous allons activer votre micro et vous pourrez vous adresser à tous ici sur YouTube.
And just to be more productive, we asked Claude to tell us who's most likely to win. Just kidding.
So we begin tonight with the Award for Student Journalism, also known as the Unpaid Intern category, sponsored by the National News Media Council.
The National News Media Council CAJ Student Journalism Award of Excellence.
Le Conseil national des médias ACJ, prix étudiant de l'excellence en journalisme.
Fernando Bosois, Using Freedom of Information Act to investigate governance at Humber Polytechnic, Humber, etc., Humber College.
8 members of the board resigned within 15 minutes of each other. They said the ministry's restrictions had left them unable to serve the organization as board members.
Alicia Wang and Andrew Yang. Academic accessibility at UWaterloo. Is the university accommodating to invisible disabilities? In print publications, University of Waterloo.
By one professor who, again, was very rigid in her policies, was that these accessibility accommodations are a suggestion. They don't need to actually accommodate students individually.
Manoj Subramanyam. Indigenous Narratives, Sovereignty, and Narrative Sovereignty. The Link, Concordia University.
To many Indigenous peoples, when the media covers these protests and neglects to provide the full picture, the issue becomes as much about being able to exercise narrative sovereignty as it is about land sovereignty.
Twee and Win. Rising popularity of K-pop and K-dramas, a sign of shifting perceptions of Korean identity and culture. Capital Current, Carleton University.
Nukes, bombs, war, North Korea, These are words Jenny Kwok, a 22 years old Korean Canadian, often heard when people discuss her heritage.
Christine de Jager. We finally know what's killing so many starfish. The Taiyi, UBC.
Killing billions of starfish, SSWD has affected more than 20 species in waters from Mexico to Alaska, including the sunflower sea star found off the coast of British Columbia. It's the largest epidemic to sweep through a non-commercial marine species.
Okay, that's our cue. So the National News Media Council Award for Student Excellence Silver Award is presented to, we actually have our first tie of the night, guys. Congratulations to Manoj Subramaniam from the Capital Current and Carleton University. And also for the Silver Award, Alicia Wang and Andrew Yang of Imprint Publications and the University of Waterloo. All right.
And the gold award goes to Truyan Nguyen from The Link and Concordia University.
Again here.
Where's Truyan?
Okay.
Okay.
On Zoom or no?
No.
Okay. Just a little FYI, the gold winners in each category will receive a $500 prize. So delivered by e-transfer. So winners, watch out for that. Let's.
It is not spam. Donc, passons au prix du photojournalisme.
Photojournalism Award.
Le prix photojournalisme.
Cole Burston, Portfolio, Freelance.
Un portfolio indépendant.
Leah Hennel, Portfolio, Freelance.
Un portfolio indépendant.
Chris Young, From Moss Park with Love, The Canadian Press.
La presse canadienne.
Okay, that was so relaxing. It's like we were at Nordique or something.
I feel so zen now. Ça sent l'eucalyptus. Oh là là.
Okay, And the silver for photojournalism goes to Chris Young, the Canadian Press. Chris is not here, so we'll give him the...
Okay.
Perfect, on behalf of Chris.
On behalf of Chris, yes. We'll get your picture. Alors, le prix or en photojournalisme est décerné à Leah Hennell, freelance. Yes, Leah's not here right now. So.
She's not on Zoom.
On Zoom.
So
either.
we're gonna...
Yeah. Voici les finalistes dans la catégorie Scoop.
The Scoop Award.
Le prix Scoop.
Aidan Shamadi, Charlie Pinkerton, Jessica Smith-Cross, and Jack Howen. Ford government sends audit of company involved in Skills Development Fund controversy to OPP. The Trillium, Village Media.
Labour Minister David Piccini attended the Parisian wedding of Get Ahead's lobbyist last month and years earlier sat rinkside at a Toronto Maple Leafs game with the director of its parent company.
Ethan Cox and Jerome Turner. RCMP formally apologized for violating journalists' rights. Commit to changes in wake of explosive oversight report. Ricochet Media.
This outcome is not only the culmination of a 5-year process seeking accountability for police misconduct in this specific case, but a major victory in an ongoing fight between journalists and the police over our right to access and cover police activities.
Robert Fife and Marieke Walsh. Trudeau expected to announce exit as party leader before National Caucus meeting Wednesday. The Globe and Mail.
One of the sources who spoke recently to the Prime Minister said Mr. Trudeau realizes he needs to make a statement before he meets the Liberal caucus, so it doesn't look like he was forced out by his own MPs.
Bethany Lindsay and Michelle Gussoub. UBC Clinical Trial Misconduct. Investigative Journalism Foundation, CBC News.
A celebrated Vancouver researcher used fabricated data and hid evidence of infected wounds to falsely claim his patented skin treatment could heal years-old bed sores in a matter of weeks.
Matt Simons and Zach Vishera. Canada's spy agency now shares intel with corporations, thanks to a push from TC Energy. Investigative Journalism Foundation, the Narwhal.
It really seems as though CSIS views oil and gas companies as their partners. And when we see what they say about protesters and Indigenous land defenders, it's clear they don't see them as having shared interests.
Okay, and the silver winner of the Scoop Award is Robert Fife and Marieke Walsh, the Globe and Mail. They are not here tonight, but Justin Trudeau did retire.
Yeah.
Ended up being true.
Feels like 5 years ago. And the gold medal prize goes to Ethan Cox and Jerome Turner, Ricochet.
Wow. Hi, everybody. I want to start off by thanking my amazing colleague, Jerome Turner, who is as fearless as he is excellent as a journalist. I want to thank my colleague, Andrea Houston, the managing editor of Ricochet Media, who just won Editorial Achievement of the Year at the DPAs last week and is integral to everything that we do. So thank you, Andrea. I want to thank my parents, who raised me to be an incorrigible thorn in the side of power. Comes in handy sometimes. It's been a 10-year struggle for press freedom in Canada, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. This story is about an oversight report, but it's also about the RCMP Commissioner issuing a formal apology to Jerome and I and promising that this would not happen again. That remains to be seen. The Bracken case will hopefully impose a penalty, but 10 years after the Brake precedent-setting case, and of course, my buddy Justin Brake is in the room with us today. Yeah, that's right. Give it up for Justin Brake, pioneer of press freedom in this country. I think we've made significant progress. Finally, unfortunately, I have to close on a bit of a disquieting note for press freedom. John Thompson, our Northern Ontario Indigenous journalist, and 2 Indigenous journalists with national outlets who collectively represent the only journalists in the region whose beat is to cover Indigenous issues, are being systematically excluded from official communications they need to do their jobs by the Thunder Bay Police. This comes as a staggering 5 bodies were discovered in the course of just a few weeks, 4 of them Indigenous, and as First Nations leaders sharply criticized the police department's conduct of the search for missing people. In John's case, this is pretty clearly retaliation for his past work, which won a Canadian Screen Award and led to multiple criminal charges against members of the police force. Yesterday, we published an expose on all of this. At this point, we had no choice but to go public after 2 years of private negotiations with the police. You can read it right now on ricochet.media. It's this simple. If Police Chief Fleury and Thunder Bay can get away with blackballing a journalist for award-winning work exposing violations of public trust, future violations of public trust will not be exposed. So I wanted to bring that up here and underline it because we are counting on all of you to help us make a big fuss about this and insist that the Thunder Bay Police have to allow some of the best journalists in the region to do their job. Thank you all so much. Have a lovely night.
Tuean Nguyen is here to address us. I would
For the gold
for the gold
student.
Yes.
Oh, there you are. Great.
Hi. So last night, after dinner, I told myself that I should prepare something just in case I won. And I'm looking for it now. So sorry. Thank you. Okay. I'm really glad I did. Yes, I'm Vietnamese, and I wrote an article about K-pop and Korean identity. Growing up, I watched K-dramas with my parents at 11 p.m., and I listened to K-pop before anyone here really knew what it was. So when I came to Canada alone at 16, I heard a group of kids in the hallway at my high school in Calgary in Alberta. I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. They were talking about K-pop, and I just thought, people here know about K-pop. It was in 2019, so it was a long time back then. And that moment stayed with me, but this story also came from something harder. So during the pandemic, I watched friends get harassed, blamed, and treated like they didn't belong here. And at the same time, Korean culture was certainly everywhere, and I wanted to understand how both of those things could be true at once. And to everyone who talked to me for this piece, thank you for trusting me, and this is yours too. And to Carleton University, Capital Current, and Rice Paper Magazine, thank you for the space to tell stories like this. And to my mom and dad, who are also here today, but they're upstairs. Yes, he's with his phone, like filming me right now. I want to also thank them as well. And yeah, all those 11 p.m. K-dramas are worth it, I guess. Yes. But yes, thank you guys so much. And yes, thank you.
Pardon? OK. C'est touchant. Et la prochaine catégorie, donc, prix pour Histoire d'un jour.
Same Day Story Award.
Prix pour Histoire d'un jour.
Caitlin Gowerluck, Josh Crabb, Arturo Chang, Tyson Koshik, and Randall McKenzie. Mashkwede Biziki Ikwe now has a name. Ashley Shingoose was Winnipeg serial killer's first victim. CBC Manitoba.
It was a bittersweet update for a community that for years has known Shingoose as Mushkade Bishike Ikwe Iban, or Buffalo Woman, a name given to her by Indigenous community members, and that hoped that one day they would finally be able to say her real name.
Demar Grant, Flooding Basements, The Hamilton Spectator.
When the flooding began on Grace Avenue around 2:30 a.m., many residents said it sounded like heavy rain. When Paul Fumsavon heard the sound, he checked a weather app, then his cameras. Both told him the sky was clear.
Angela McIver, Ali Thompson, and Shayna Luck. RCMP scrutiny of missing Nova Scotian children's mother. Stepfather suggests no criminal involvement. CBC, Nova Scotia.
An extensive search ensued with more than 100 trained volunteers combing the woods, accompanied by air support from helicopters and drones. Loved ones from all sides of Jack and Lily's family frantically looked for signs of the children.
Jen St. Dennis. Who is Othman McCluffy, the far-right poster behind 1BC's strife? The Tyee.
As the far-right party 1BC implodes, accusations are flying across social media, and many of them involve a 22-year-old Vancouver man and 1BC staffer who once claimed to work for the Donald Trump administration.
Team Submission. Vancouver's Darkest Day, Inside the Lapu Lapu Festival Tragedy. Canadian Press.
Carolyn Neluda was in Vancouver General Hospital's emergency room early Sunday morning, trying to find news about her brother, who was run down in the attack and suffered multiple broken bones. Doctors identified him by presenting the family with his wedding ring in a pill bottle.
The Silver Winner Award goes to Team the Canadian Press.
And the gold winner is Caitlin Gerlich, Josh Crabb, Arturo Chang, Tyson Koschik, and Randall McKenzie from CBC Manitoba.
Are they here?
We were told they would be.
Friends from CBC Manitoba?
CBC Manitoba?
Maybe they're out the washroom. I don't know.
Who wants $500? No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll go to the next prize then. Alors, notre prochaine catégorie est reportage écrit, written feature, which once again is the category which received the most entries at 49.
Written Feature Award.
Prix pour reportage écrit.
Alicia Hasham, Condo versus Church, A Story of Toronto on the Steps of Sanctuary, Toronto Star.
Sanctuary is a place where people cheer when a community member gets housing, even though it has happened only because they have terminal cancer with less than 2 years to live. What you see here can cause you to both lose your faith in God and have it restored, often at the same time.
Catherine Lake Baertz, the secret that may have saved her life. Toronto Star.
Artillery rattled the walls of the shell-blasted factory as Mariana Mamonova crouched in a latrine, rifling through her medic bag for a pregnancy test.
Nicole O'Reilly. He beat his stepfather to death and was found not criminally responsible. The Hamilton Spectator.
George Howson was defenseless. Health issues, including Parkinson's disease, meant the 73-year-old spent most of his time in a chair in the West Hamilton apartment he shared with his wife.
Jana Pruden. The matriarchy with muscles. The Globe and Mail. The matriarch lay unmoving on the floor. She'd been hit, choked, knocked down. Once, twice, too many times to count. And now for a moment, it seemed like she may not be able to get up at all. Jennifer Yang, the drastic brain procedure that gave a baby a fighting chance. The Globe and Mail.
When Miriam was disconnected from her medical supports, her seizures continued, as everyone expected. But then, something remarkable happened.
Before we continue, I want to give a gold star to the judges who judged this category. That's a lot of entries. That's 49.
Le gagnant de la prix argent, est Jennifer Yang, The Globe and Mail.
And the gold winner for the Written Feature Award goes to Catherine Lake Baertz, The Toronto Star.
I should have prepared something last night, but as a freelancer, you don't generally expect to be recognized, and I'm very grateful to be among such amazing writers. I do have amazing people at the Star who support my work over the years. I'd like to thank Tim Fryer, Keith Bunnell, Richard Warnica, Kate Robertson, my friend Julie Carl, who reads everything that I write, and especially Garnet Fraser, who edited this piece for me. This award belongs to Mariana Mamonova. She spent 2 months underground saving lives during the siege of Mariupol, and then 5 months in a Russian prison. She delivered a healthy baby 3 days after she was released. So for Mariana and for all the other brave Ukrainians standing up to Russian violence.
All right, now for our Community Written Feature category.
Community Written Feature Award.
Prix pour le reportage écrit communautaire.
Samantha Beatty, The Boys of Robertland, CBC Hamilton.
For myself, I felt like there was 2 ways to report this abuse, and the first way had failed utterly, and it was like the writing of the letters. That was our initial attempt to report the abuse.
Eve Cable, Aged Out and Left Behind, The Eastern Door.
It's the little things that sting the most for Lily Yorondiwa-Godir. Small, day-to-day nuggets of knowledge she doesn't have, like knowing whether or not to paint the rust on her car.
Catherine Manny, Toronto Cafe ordered to destroy $8,000 worth of Vegemite by Food Authority. Toronto Today.
I woke up from the surgery to a letter of demand from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency to remove our beloved Vegemite off the menu, citing concerns over added B vitamins.
Inori Roy, The Worm Hunters of Southern Ontario. The Local.
All night, the pickers crouch in the field, harvesting wild Canadian nightcrawler worms for one of Ontario's most niche exports. By dawn, hundreds of thousands of wriggling nightcrawlers will be ready to be shipped out to bait shops across the continent.
And the silver winner is Eve Cable, The Eastern Door.
And the gold winner in community written feature is Inori Roy, The Local.
Hey guys, I'm not Inori Roy, obviously. She, I think, is at a wedding. I think she's sleeping in a car outside Waterloo or something, which is now what she does ever since going worm hunting that one night. She sent me something that I'm supposed to read. She says, "Thank you very much for this honor, and I'm sad I'm not able to join you all tonight. I'd like to thank my editor, Nick, who is now being forced to thank himself on my behalf, and who is always giving and thoughtful with his edits and guidance." That was an edit that I made to this. I owe this win to my very generous sources, to the worms, and to the fact that my team at The Local has always believed in me and rooted for my success. What a joy and a privilege. Inori, yeah.
Congratulations. Alors, les deux prochaines catégories sont généreusement parrainées par l'organisme Journalistes pour les droits humains. Il s'agit des prix pour le meilleur reportage sur les droits de la personne et le prix pour le ou la journaliste autochtone émergent de l'année.
Our next two categories are kindly sponsored by Journalists for Human Rights, the Award for Human Rights Reporting, and the Emerging Indigenous Journalist Award. Let's begin with the finalists in the Human Rights Award.
Journalists for Human Rights, CAJ Award for Human Rights Reporting.
Journaliste pour le droit humain, ACJ, prix pour le reportage sur les droits de la personne.
Robert Cribb, Masi Calabarati, and Rachel Parent. This is the New Slavery, Migrant Farm Workers Underpaid, Abused, and Injured. Investigative Journalism Bureau and National Post.
This is the New Slavery, said a Jamaican father of two who came to BC this past summer on a temporary foreign worker contract, only to find what he called deplorable conditions, including no hot running water. They're all using us, he said.
Gabriel Duchesne, plus d'un an sans sortie dehors la presse. Durant ces sorties, toujours effectuées à l'intérieur des murs, des contentions le maintenaient assis sur une chaise. Sinon, on lui passait des menottes attachées à une ceinture.
Usama Farag, Scott Anderson, Andrew Colbert, Joanna Romeliotis, and Morna Scott Dunn. Funding the Occupation, the Fifth Estate, CBC.
Oh my gosh, hi. You won't leave.
No.
We've been trying to reach you now for several weeks. I think he's hung up.
Nalisha Villani, Asha Tomlinson, Katie Peterson, and Dexter McMillan. The Sextortion Network, CBC Marketplace.
No other scam that involves targeting children, coercing them into a sexually compromising situation.
We find criminals cashing in on fear, all the way from Nigeria.
Why you scam people?
It's because people don't have money.
We'd like to ask Tobin Ng from JHR to come to the stage.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tobin Ng, a programs coordinator at Journalists for Human Rights. As a media development organization, JHR has worked with journalists, news outlets, and civil society groups in Canada and around the world to strengthen human rights since 2002. We empower journalists to report on issues like gender equity, democratic reform, and climate action, and to combat misinformation in their communities. Our belief is that strong human rights reporting sparks much-needed dialogue and change. We're proud to co-sponsor this award, which celebrates the courage and commitment to accuracy, fairness, and humanity that lie at the heart of human rights reporting. whether it's exposing abuse in the temporary foreign worker program, revealing how Canadian charities have been funding Israeli occupation, investigating a patient's death at a psychiatric hospital, or uncovering an overseas sextortion network. These nominated stories reflect a dogged pursuit of the truth. Thank you to the nominees for challenging us all to dig deeper, to lead with our hearts, and to keep demanding justice and accountability from those in power. Thank you.
So the JHR Award for Human Rights Reporting Silver Prize goes to Aaliyah Davidson, Scott Anderson, Iona Rumiliotis, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Louder. Andrew Cubbert and Emmanuel Marchand, CBC's Fifth Estate.
And the gold for human rights reporting goes to Nelisha Villani, Asha Tomlinson, Katie Pedersen, and Dexter McMillan, CBC Marketplace.
Wasn't expecting this.
We were not expecting this. We were ready to clap for you guys at the Fifth Estate and all of the other amazing nominations. First of all, thank you so much to JHR, to the CAJs, and for CBC leadership for trusting us and supporting us in telling this kind of journalism. It takes time and effort and resources. So investing in investigative is hugely appreciated now more than ever. I want to dedicate this award to the story team. Asha Tomlinson, who is phenomenal, took a very, very complicated story, and alongside Katie Peterson, Dexter McMillan, Simon Parubchuk, our dedicated camera crew, art director, our entire team, production and editorial, who obsess over every frame and every fact, and made sure to do the story justice. So thank you so much. We so appreciate it.
I think this was one of the most difficult stories to tell for our program, especially given that I have boys, and this really seems to affect boys so much. So I do want to dedicate this to the families who open up their hearts and their homes to us, who are dealing with tragedy day in and day out. Raising awareness around sextortion was really the goal for us, but this is a bonus, so thank you so much to the CAJ and to the JHR.
On to the finalists for the Emerging Indigenous Journalist.
Journalists for Human Rights, CAJ Award, Emerging Indigenous Journalist.
Journaliste pour les droits humains, ACJ, prix pour journalistes autochtones émergents.
Vanna Blacksmith, Portfolio, CBC North Cree Unit.
An elder once told me that if you know your culture and your language, and if there's ever a power outage in your community, you still be able to keep warm.
Sav Johnsa, Portfolio, APTN National News.
Says she doesn't agree with the views of the Nahanni Must Go rally, but does believe Fontaine isn't fit for the ministerial position.
I don't condone hate, I don't condone violence.
Alicia Pasafiome, Portfolio, The Canadian Press. For some First Nations leaders, the prospect of conflict over plans to send another pipeline to the BC coast brings back vivid memories of years past. For many First Nations youth, it's a whole new call to action. Savannah Ridley, Portfolio, The Narwhal. the sickness that plagues his community is a symbol of the devastation that unbridled industry can bring and an omen for what's to come if Bill 5, the newest bill from the Ford regime, is passed into law. Sissa Mohan, Portfolio, CBC Indigenous.
The traditional territory of the Wolastoqey Nation, the people of the beautiful and bountiful river. And they want some of that land back.
Before we announce the winners, joining us by video is Sarah Laddick from JHR.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Laddick, and I'm a program manager at Journalists for Human Rights. It's my pleasure to present the Emerging Indigenous Journalist Award tonight. For years, JHR has worked to support a more representative Canadian media landscape, partnering with other organizations to help train Indigenous journalists, create career pathways, and work with newsrooms to ensure Indigenous stories are told with accuracy and context. Representation matters. Indigenous journalists bring lived experience, community trust, and a wealth of expertise to stories that too often go untold or are told in ways that perpetuate harm. This award recognizes the next generation of journalists taking up that important work that benefits us all. Indigenous communities and peoples are on the front lines of some of the most important stories in this country, from responding to the climate crisis to fighting for access to fundamental human rights. We badly need your voices and stories front and center in the news to make sense of our world today and in the future. Congratulations to all the finalists, and thank you so much for the vital work that you do.
Okay.
No swish.
Nope. Wise words. Wise words. So the JHR CAJ Emerging Indigenous Journalist Silver Award goes to Savannah Ridley, the Narwhal. To go for a picture. And the gold winner for JHR CAJ Emerging Journalist is Alessia Pacifiume from the Canadian Press.
Hello. I know that everybody who has come up has probably said that they didn't prepare anything because they didn't think they were going to win. I can tell you that's the truth. I'm in a category with such amazing journalists that I respect and I admire. And the way that I think about reporting, especially on the Hill with a small group of people around me who solely cover Indigenous issues, is that there's no competition between us. The more people who are here who are telling our stories matters. And to the people here who are on Parliament Hill every day, our press conferences get pretty lonely and we can use some more folks in the seats. I also want to shout out my grandmother, who is my date tonight, if she can stand up. Stand up! Everything I do is for her, and I'm so grateful that she decided to join me. And also thank you to Kirsten and Kathleen and everybody else at CP. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Oh, picture time. Let's move on to our next category.
Communication Workers of America Canada, CAJ Award for Labor Reporting.
Syndicat des communications d'Amérique, ACJ, prix pour les reportages sur le secteur travail.
Isaac Punne, a janitor died on the job at SFU. Coworkers want change. The Tyee.
But Kyla was a hard worker, and her peers were managing a bigger workload. Around 2:30, Kyla asked a coworker and a nearby security guard for a drink of water. Minutes later, she collapsed.
Matt Simmons, out of the shadows, confronting sexual violence in tree planting. The Narwhal.
The tree planting industry is a microcosm of broader society. Sexual violence is everywhere. Because a vast majority of sexual assaults go unreported, Estimates of the scale of the problem vary.
CBC team. Why criminal charges are rare for workplace deaths in Canada. CBC News.
Every year, about 350 Canadians die at work.
22-year-old Riley Bassin was killed on the job Christmas Day.
The worker is dead after getting hit by a falling concrete slab.
Caroline Touzin, traitée comme d'éternelle stagiaire la presse.
À la création des plateaux de travail, le but était noble. Initier à l'emploi les personnes qui vivent avec une déficience intellectuelle ou un trouble du spectre de l'autisme. Mais ce modèle est aujourd'hui à la dérive.
Zach Bichera, Temporary Foreign Worker Inspections, the Investigative Journalism Foundation.
Government workers overseeing Canada's Temporary Foreign Worker Program never actually visit most of the work sites they claim to inspect, a practice critics say makes the controversial program even more vulnerable to abuse.
Le prix pour les reportages sur le secteur du syndicat est parrainé par CSCA Canada, le syndicat des communications d'Amérique. J'inviterai Laurie Kirkup à dire quelques mots.
Hi, I'm Lois Kirkup, the Vice President of CWA Canada. CWA Canada is proud to sponsor the Labour Reporting Award. This award honors journalism that goes beyond a work-to-rule, strike, lockout, or other job action and demonstrates skill in reporting on the social, economic, and political factors that impact the labor environment in Canada. Whew, I have to breathe. Thank goodness I'm not accepting the award. The award recognizes exceptional journalism on labor issues that can make a significant difference in the lives of Canadians. Journalists reporting on workplace issues are essential for exposing power imbalance and ensuring the public is informed about labor conditions, structural inequities, and fair pay. By investigating these topics, the media protects vulnerable workers, fosters economic transparency, and holds employers and policymakers accountable. Okay, where did we go here? Sorry. Yeah, that's fine. Investigative reporting exposes hidden economic realities such as the impacts of the gig economy, unpaid internships, and wage stagnation. In addition, reporting on workplace hazards, discrimination, and health regulations drives policy changes and ensures that occupational health and labor standards are strictly enforced. I have read and watched all the nominated stories, and I'm grateful I did not have to select a winner because all the entries are outstanding. There is incredible talent in this room tonight. Thank you.
And the silver winner is Matt Simmons, the Narwhal.
She's going home with many awards tonight. And the gold. Oh. Okay. And the gold winner for the CWA Labor Reporting Award is Team CBC News. They will be on Zoom.
A big salute to all the other nominees in English and en français. I need to shout out the team. I'm the reporter, Anise. James Dunn was the producer on this piece and really the critical mass in getting it on the air. Our editor, Farhan Ahmad, cameramen and videographers, Craig Shivers, Keith Burgess, Monty Kruger. We had people from across the country working on this. A big thanks to the CBC News Investigative Unit and the business unit, my home team. They had to deal with a lot of daily news that James and I were not working on while we worked on this project instead. But there are 4 more important names I really want to highlight here. Liam Johnston is the man who died in a trench doing what should have been just another plumbing job. And I hope we did him justice with this story, and his family who brought us his story and cracked open their hearts for us. His fiance, Emily Gofton, Liam's stepfather, Adam Groves, Liam's mother, Kim Iveson. They are living through heartbreak so that we could tell Liam's story, and I really thank them for that. The Westray law was introduced decades ago to allow for criminal charges and convictions if someone dies at work, but it is rarely used. And even in this case, that continues. I would love to update you to say that our story was able to make a little bit of a difference here. But the company and the people that employed Liam Johnston when he died are not facing criminal charges. That news came out months after our story aired. But journalism, like the incredible stories in this category, are a reminder to employers, to lawmakers, and to the public that you shouldn't have to die when you're at work. Thanks to the CAJ and to CWA Canada for this award on behalf of the entire team.
Really important message. This year, we have 2 new categories named after eminent journalists in their field and the people who love them. The first is the Janice Johnston Award for Crime and Justice, which recognizes journalism that treats victims with dignity, is grounded in rigorous reporting, and holds police and legal systems to account.
The award is a tribute to the longtime CBC Edmonton reporter, whose fearless and compassionate work illuminated public safety issues. Jana Pruden is joining us by Zoom to pay tribute to Janice.
It's truly my honor to announce the first ever Janice Johnson Award for Crime and Justice Reporting, the first CAJ award to be named in honor of a woman, which is very suiting for a trailblazer like Janice. It was at last year's CAJ conference in Calgary that I got the idea for an award in Janice's honor. Janice was a friend, a mentor, and truly an icon out here in Alberta, both for her reporting and her taste in shoes. She was tough as nails, holding power to account, compassionate and empathetic with victims, dogged in her pursuit of the truth. She truly believed in the principles of an open justice system and the role of the media in covering justice and crime. When I started fundraising for this award, I was flooded with people who wanted to donate, not only other journalists, but lawyers, judges, and families of victims of crime. Thank you to everyone who made this award possible. I know some of them are in this room tonight. I wish I was there with you. And congratulations to all the finalists in this category for their excellent work. Janice would be very proud. Thank you.
The Silver Award for this first-time category is Anna Meller-Peppermy, Nayan Stankia, I'm sorry, Kia Soho, Susan Goldenberg, and Caroline Stoffer, Reuters.
Janice Johnson Crime and Justice Reporting Award.
Prix Janice Johnson pour le journalisme criminel et judiciaire.
Tavia Grant, On a Cold Trail, A Suspicious Death, Police Delays, and Unanswered Questions, The Globe and Mail.
Jennifer Johnson was found dead in a Toronto ravine. A Globe and Mail investigation found that police didn't take basic steps, like examining her phone, for more than a year.
Avery Haynes, Joseph Loyaro, Angelo Altomare, Jerry Vino, and Zach Bichera. W5's Avery Haynes investigates Cartel Canada, Investigative Journalism Foundation, and CTV News.
One day, Aiden came home with free beer that his boss had given him. He took one gulp.
He was screaming out, I want my mom, I want my mom. I'm dying, I want mom.
Brendan Kennedy, Crisis Behind Bars, Ontario's Inhumane Jail Conditions, Toronto Star.
As Premier Doug Ford continues to call for bail reforms that would see more people incarcerated while awaiting trial, provincial jails are more deadly, more violent, and arguably more dysfunctional than they have ever been.
Anna Mailer-Paperny, Nyan Stankiu, Josso U, Suzanne Goldenberg, and Caroline Stauffer. Unfree, Behind Canada's Incarceration of Indigenous People. Reuters.
Marvin Starr Blanket's life is still governed by Correctional Service Canada rules. They determine where he sleeps, when he clocks in for the night, whether he drinks alcohol, and the job he pursues.
Jen St. Denis, What Really Happened to Katitsa? The Tyee.
Throughout that summer, the flowers Katitsa had diligently cared for during her visit flourished. The neighbor said, "Wow, look at those lilies. They really grew," Debbie remembers. But today, Debbie can't bear to tend the garden. The flowers remind her of Katitsa.
Sorry for the little mix-up. And the gold goes to Avery Haynes, Joseph Florio, Angelo Altamare, and Jerry Vino. W5.
Avery's out of the country, and sorry she couldn't be here, but she's on WhatsApp. Say hi, Avery.
I am not Avery Haynes. I'm sorry about that. You know, we keep hearing things from people like Donald Trump that Canada's this major source of drugs to places like the United States, and we know that's not true. However, you might be surprised to find out that in New Zealand and Australia, we are the port for all of those opioids that are going there. That's what they think about Canada, and this was a documentary that had that surprise element in there. We are the post office for drugs when it comes to the Antipodes. Investigative units like W5 got a chance to actually put law enforcement under the microscope and bring accountability to politicians and to make sure that they make changes, and that's what this is what we do is so important. Thank you very much for this honor.
All right. I saw her face. She was really on the phone. The next award is the Jeffrey Stevens Award for Local Government Reporting, spotlighting journalism that demonstrates deep understanding of local institutions, including municipal governments, school boards, First Nation bands, regional councils, or other local public bodies. This award honors the veteran reporter, editor, and columnist whose 6-decade career chronicled governments at all levels. We'd like to bring Chris Waddell on stage to say a few words. Yes.
Thanks very much. As was said, this award recognizes Jeffrey Stevens' more than 6 decades of political reporting and commentary. Hired out of the University of Western Ontario by the Globe and Mail in 1962. He started out at the Toronto City Hall. In 1973, he was named the Globe's national political columnist, a role he continued until 1981. Returning to the Globe in Toronto, after 2 years as sports editor and national editor, he became managing editor in 1983, and among other achievements, appointed the Globe's first female foreign correspondent. Leaving the Globe in 1989, he was managing editor of Maclean's magazine from 1996 to 2001. Until his death in 2023, he'd been writing a weekly political column for The Record in Waterloo, The Spectator in Hamilton, and other Torstar publications, as well as teaching at Wilfrid Laurier University. The recipient of this award receives $1,000 from funds raised from Jeff's friends and family. The fund is overseen by a committee made up of John Lastinger, Jennifer Lewington, Patrick Martin, Michael Adams, Carol Van Ryn, Bob Lewis, and myself. In addition to tonight's award, the fund also supports the national newspaper National NNA Awards, Jeffrey Stevens Award for Sustained News Coverage. This year's winner was the Globe and Mail for tracing the origins and growth of the measles outbreak across Canada. Tonight, I'm also pleased to announce that starting this fall, the Stevens Fund will also launch an annual $3,500 fellowship administered by the CAJ for a political reporting project. Applicants with imaginative, innovative perspectives on a pressing local or provincial issue, imaginative ideas about how to effectively report on them, will be encouraged to apply. The details for this new fellowship will be finalized over the summer, and we expect to put out a notice to call for applications starting in the fall. So congratulations to all the finalists announced in this inaugural version of the award. Thank you.
Geoffrey Stevens Local Government Reporting Award.
Prix Geoffrey Stevens pour le journalisme sur les administrations locales.
Marcus Banquet, electioneer in Ganisatage, the Eastern Door.
He said a common thing he hears is that it's a flawed system. It wasn't designed for us to succeed. It was designed to work against us.
Marianne Despelteaux, Fauquier, Strickland, Radio-Canada.
La ferme KPMG, des élus, des employés municipaux et des citoyens levaient des drapeaux rouges depuis au moins 2021, selon des documents et des témoignages.
Wency Lung, School Board Coverage, The Local.
To many who have been studying, observing, and participating in public education in Ontario, it's clear that the province's crackdown isn't just about ensuring financial accountability of the school boards. It's a play for power.
Josh Lewis, The Cost of Care, Where PEI's Health Dollars Go. Eastern Graphic.
PEI's electronic health record system is not compatible with those in Nova Scotia or New Brunswick, where it costs $69.3 million to provide care for Islanders in 2024-25.
Tyler Olson and Kristen Holiday, Mayor of Chaos, How Kamloops Politics Became Infamous. The Tyee and Castanet.
Today, Reed Hamer-Jackson could be called BC's most notorious local politician, with a string of scandals that's helped inspire the province to consider rewriting the rulebook for mayors and councillors.
Okay, and the silver medal winner is Wency Lung, The Local. Also going home with many awards. And the gold goes to Tyler Olson and Kristen Holiday, the Tyee and Castanet.
Wow, this is an honor. Thank you so much. This is a story about a mayor of a large BC city who was elected in 2022 and has since refused to play by many of the rules, resulting in costly lawsuits, code of conduct complaints, and fractured relationships. Things have become so strained that Kamloops Council and the mayor have been called the poster child for the province's move to strengthen its rules for local governments. It's been a tangled web, and Tyler and I have joined forces to put together a story about how Kamloops got here, what happened to have the mayor get elected, what's happened in City Hall, and how the provincial government is reacting.
Yeah, and this really wouldn't have been possible without a joint effort and Kristen bringing her inside knowledge of Kamloops. I don't live in Kamloops, and the shared drive of both our organizations and the partnership that it facilitated. So thanks to Dave Beers, who edited the story, and to Colin and Tim at Castanet, Kristen's editors, and Jeanette at the Tyee, and our colleagues, and yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. I also want to give a shout out to my husband, Andrew. It's his 40th birthday today. And he's choosing to spend it cheering me on. And I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
This brings us to our final general excellence category.
En effet, on se trouve au moment de la dernière catégorie d'excellence en journalisme.
Environment and Climate Change Award.
Prix pour la couverture des changements climatiques et de l'environnement.
Angela Belleau and Tom Fenario. APTN investigates sacrifice zones. APTN.
Nowadays, to shop $100, it's just a little bikeful.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, before I can fill up the cart before.
Daphne Cameron. Objectif, produire du lait carboneutre, la presse. En contrepartie, elle fabrique du lait. Beaucoup de lait. À elle seule, les vaches de la ferme située en Montérégie produisent une quantité équivalente à la consommation annuelle de 17 700 personnes.
Liam Casey, Jordan Olmsted, and Chris Katsarov-Luna. Inside the Ring of Fire, a tale of two First Nations and a road that could change everything. The Canadian Press.
As the elders foretold, the South is coming for what's hidden deep within the land. They are coming for the Ring of Fire, and inevitably, they are building a road.
Lindsay Jones and Patrick White. To the Last Drop, The Globe and Mail. Her test results told a chilling story. Every liter of her tap water contained 140.9 nanograms of PFAS, more than 4 times the recommended safety limit. Chloe Logan, Driving the Ice Road, a journey along a community's disappearing lifeline. Canada's National Observer.
People call ice roads lifelines for a reason. Without them, entire communities are cut off from goods and services that those in places connected by permanent roads take for granted.
And the silver winning entry for the Environment and Climate Change Award goes to Lindsay Jones and Patrick White, The Globe and Mail. And the gold goes to Liam Casey, Jordan Olmsted, and Chris Katsarov-Luna, Canadian Press.
Thanks so much. This is a real privilege to be here among such talented journalists, and the work everyone here is producing is really incredible. And keep it up. I cover Doug Ford on a daily basis, and the days are long, but the years are short. And this time last year, the Ring of Fire was all over everyone's lips at Queen's Park, and we sort of had an idea at Canadian Press to head north, go to the Ring of Fire, to see if we can go to the actual Ring of Fire. There's no roads, there's not much infrastructure up there, but it turns out there's a lot of stuff happening. And so I really want to thank Chris Katsarov-Luna, who captured the beauty of the north so incredibly. I think he filed about 200 photos on the wire. I need to thank my editor on the job, Marie Danielle Smith. Thank you. We somehow managed to get about a 9,000-word piece on the wire that has got to be a record at Canadian Press for length. So thank you for that. Thanks to the Pulitzer Center who helped us pay for going up north. We were on a bunch of planes and helicopters that Doug Ford would not like. To get all around, all over the place. And I need to thank Jordan Olmsted, who's the climate reporter, who really helped me understand some of the nuance and our editor-in-chief, Andrea Bailey, who sort of has long had my back at work, and a final shout out to my wife, Shannon, who puts up with both me and journalism. Thank you.
Alors, c'est maintenant notre plaisir d'inviter le président de l'Association canadienne des journalistes, Brent Joly, au podium.
Survived my trip up the stairs there, so that's great. Next year's CWA award winner, whoever wants to cover it. Good evening, everybody. Bonne soirée encore à tous. Merci de vous nous joindre ce soir. Of course, I know there are always many ways you can spend an evening, and I'm so thankful that you've chosen to spend your evening here, where you can listen to speeches from journalists. So, if you won't mind indulging me just an inch, I will promise to deliver, I hope. Ce soir, nous sommes réunis pour célébrer non seulement les réalisations, mais aussi la curiosité, la persévérance et le dévouement qui les rendent possibles. Derrière chacun des prix décernés ce soir se cache encore la conviction qu'un travail qui a du sens s'accomplir rarement seul. So whether that's an earth-shattering investigation, a dynamic podcast, a daily newscast, or whatever remains of your morning paper, none of these come together, of course, in isolation. They all require the collaboration of many hearts and minds to get a kick-ass final copy across the finish line. I also want to say that process holds true for things like the national conference that we've had over the last 2 days, and an awards gala like we're also enjoying tonight. So while we're celebrating this year's winners, this year's nominees, and frankly ourselves, because we should, you know, hell, why not? Let's not forget to recognize all of the people who have been involved in this past weekend, who have spent months and months of their time volunteering to help make this weekend's festivities possible. I want to first of all thank Jen St. Dennis and Nikita Roy, who have been our co-chairs for this weekend's conference. They have done an absolutely incredible job and exhibited unprecedented levels of leadership. And really should be commended. So I hope you do thank them for their work. And also our many conference committee volunteers, many of them who are here tonight. You know, this doesn't come together easily. It takes time, it takes effort, and it takes a willing to go above and beyond. And I really think we are in your debt for that. I also want to give, of course, a huge shout out to Jason Markusoff, as always. And new this year, awards co-chair Alicia Dacey. If you're happy with your awards, thank you. If you're not happy with your awards, go talk to them. They're the people you want to talk to. I also want to thank Alan Thompson and Carleton University School of Journalism. You have been incredible hosts this weekend, and it's been a real honor and a privilege. It's been a personal homecoming for me, even though we used to be in the old St. Pat's building, so we didn't have, you know, windows and things like that. Modern amenities. But hey, you know, progress is incremental. I also wanted to take a moment to, of course, shine a light on all the CAJ directors, and our staff here tonight. The CAJ, as you know, is a largely volunteer-run organization. We're powered by passion, we're powered by desire, and a willingness to give back. Of course, that's a noble goal, and it's one that comes with sacrifice. It means spending early mornings, late nights, and weekends working for the industry and our collective benefit. And I think we spend so much of our time, you know, sort of running frenetically from one deadline to the next. And I think it's really important to take the precious time to reflect and say thank you to everybody who contributes their time. We also have on the board this evening two people, who are celebrating birthdays. One whose birthday I will, actual age I will mention, and one I will not. First of all, I want to say happy birthday to our chair, Zane Schwartz, who turns 33 today. Our second is our treasurer, Lori Few from TVO. Andrew, why not? Why not? Let's go for it. There you go. Happy birthday. I want to also spotlight our CAJ team. We have a core staff who are working, we have one full-time person, a couple part-time people. And I think I want to just mention their contributions here because, again, none of this would be possible without them. To Monique Durette, Amelia Fournier, absolutely. Sarah Abadi-King, Tahara Guitard, Jenna Kukulo, and also Aidan Rayner, who really stepped up this weekend, was a huge add. Comme on dit, vous êtes identifiable, et puis vous êtes la colonne vertébrale de cette organisation. Alors, merci pour tout ce que vous faites pour nous. Okay. So we're going to get down to the main event. I promise you, I'm actually here for a reason, not just to bumble into a microphone for 15 minutes. But before doing that, I, of course, wanted to recognize one person who isn't here with us tonight, and whose absence, of course, casts a long shadow. At least for me, it does. Dan David was a legendary, award-winning Mohawk journalist from Kanesatake and the grandfather of APTN News. He died earlier this year at the age of 73. In 2023, Dan was the recipient of the Charles Burry CAJ President's Award. Dan's a legend and a hero. And if you've never had the opportunity to meet him, well, I think you really missed out, unfortunately. He was a visionary, and he helped me understand how relationships based on understanding are more productive than those based on prejudice. I think that's really important. So, if we could, I'd just like to take a moment to raise a glass to Dan and his memory. Everybody? I know he's looking down on us right now, and he's probably saying, hurry up, get this damn thing over with. Let's keep moving. So, rest in peace, my friend. Right on. Le prix Charles Burry s'est décerné chaque année à des personnes ou à des groupes qui ont apporté une contribution exceptionnelle au journalisme canadien. In recent years, we've had winners of this award have included Karen Pugliese, Duncan McHugh, Kim Bolin, Danielle Renaud, and many others, of course. This year's winner is somebody whose work reminds us all that great reporting begins with a simple question and a refusal to stop asking questions until the truth emerges. Along with her colleagues, Tom Cardoso, Mark McKinnon, Stephanie Chambers, Alana Smith, and many others, Carrie Tate set out to answer a simple question. Who is Sam Raich? Digging for answers over the span of more than a year, peeled back layer upon layer of an onion rotting to its very core. I think you know where this story goes, but I'll let you know just in case. Allegations, political interference, malfeasance, and corruption metastasizing altogether into one of Alberta's biggest political scandals in recent history. In another era, it's the kind of story that would have ended political careers. Mais le monde d'aujourd'hui ne fonctionne plus comme autrefois. Nous évoluons dans le monde qui adhèrent à des façons de faire bien différentes et oseraient-je bien absurdes. As a result of her reporting, Carrie experienced a whirlwind of legal and security threats. She was surveilled. She had her cell phone spoofed. Her private movements were tracked. She endured targeted harassment and intimidation campaigns. But through it all, she didn't blink. Of course, Carrie isn't the only journalist who has experienced hate and harassment for daring to follow the facts where they may lead. We know how gender, ethnicity, identity are so often weaponized by cowards who want to hide in the shadows. And these miscreants attack journalists for the very act of truth-telling itself, because they're scared, in my opinion, absolutely shitless for being exposed for who they are and what they've actually done. La surveillance, le harcèlement et les menaces publiques ne font pas partie de notre description de poste. Et lorsque des élus ou leurs alliés restent bras croisés pendant que celui se produit, ou pire, amplifié, ils laissent entendre que ce genre de comportement est acceptable et cautionnement de l'impunité. I think this all shines light a spotlight on a system that encourages obfuscation, privileges toxicity, and undermines the public's right to know. And you know the playbook. This is it. We've seen it. It's not new. So I think the question before all of us here in this industry is, what do we want to do about it? And how do we get there? Because the status quo, frankly, is unsustainable, and I think you know that too. But the personal costs Carrie incurred from pursuing this story have been tremendous. And it absolutely breaks my heart to know the levels of hell she's had to experience and endure for simply doing her job. It's bullshit. Carrie's example, of course, reminds me of something else, and I hope it holds true for all of you too. Her experience reminds me that each and every one of us in this room tonight to think about why we remain in this craft and committed to it. Carrie truly inspires me. Her work shows me that we're not entering this fight for truth, transparency, and press freedom empty-handed. We do have the tools to fight back. We have rigor, we have perseverance, we have determination, courage, peer support, a common purpose. Carrie's experience shows us why investigative journalism matters in Canada, and also why we must recognize the financial, legal, and personal costs borne by journalists who courageously pursue stories in the public interest. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, it is my absolute honor to present this year's Charles Burry Award to one of my heroes, Carrie Tate from the Globe and Mail. Let's take it here. Let's take it home.
Oh. Thanks, guys. Thank you. That was exceptionally generous. Thank you so much to the CAJ. I feel like I am standing before you on behalf of so many journalists at the Globe and Mail and others who endure silly attacks on journalism. But what happened this year at the Globe was not just me. I had a team of colleagues who were also attacked, undermined, and but aside from that, and more importantly, were infinitely supportive. And Brent has already highlighted their names, but it would be my failure if I did not do it myself. My colleagues, first in Calgary, Alana Smith in Toronto, Tom Cardoso, Mark McKinnon, of course, our roving correspondent, Stephanie Chambers, and so many more. I am so privileged to work with people who had my back. The CAJ was one of the first and most vocal organizations to stand up to publicly defend the Globe and Mail and myself, which is not easy. I am infinitely thankful for the support that I received from both the Globe and Mail, the CAJ, and friends and competitors in this room and across the industry. There would be no story, there would be, quite frankly, nothing from me within the past year to 5 years, if not for my editor, Mark Ipe, who has given me an infinite amount of leash. At the NNAs, did not name him by name because I absolutely would have ended up in a puddle of tears on the stage. He's not here tonight, so I can talk behind his back and rave about the infinite support that he gave me and his patience with dealing with Alberta. And managing a scenario that we have not had to deal with very often in the Canadian journalism landscape. I think increasingly we have. We talked about that tonight with Ricochet was an example. I do think we have to figure out as journalists how to better deal with this. We are so good. We are exceptional at fighting for the rights of others. And we see that tonight with so many of the nominees and so many of the winners. They are about fighting for the rights of vulnerable. We are not good at defending our own rights. I wouldn't encourage, it's a 0 out of 10, having those stories about us as journalists, but we can still find ways to push back. Asking questions is not just our right, it is our duty, and we have to keep pushing when others are trying to shut us down. It is really difficult to figure out how to support each other, I think, as colleagues and competitors, because sometimes we go into those press conferences and we have competing interests that day or various techniques, and it is really hard to support the people who are technically our competitors. The one person I think I would turn to as a role model to find how to thread that needle would be Jason Markisoff. Jason, yes. Jason and I don't always agree on how to best deal with the Premier of Alberta, for example. But outside of the Globe and Mail, which has been infinitely supportive of what myself and my colleagues have been dealing with, and a cocoon of fabulous sisterhood of journalists in Calgary, nobody has been more supportive and had my back, while also still remaining a very fierce competitor than Jason. And
incredibly jealous of the work you
and
I couldn't even start.
Just stop. I have the literal mic here, Jason. So. So Jason, thank you. So this past year has also given me a new appreciation for the CAJ, that there are organizations that are behind us, and even if we can't always find the way to thread the needle to support our competitor and colleagues, it has helped reinforce our backbones to know that the CAJ was representing my colleagues and competitors. And again, I am so thankful for what you did for me and the rest of my colleagues this year. So thank you. It is an honor, and I hope everyone has a fabulous night. Thank you.
My, not easy to follow that. All these emotions.
Is there anything you want to add to the mic, Jason? Now is your time.
But we all do better understand what makes these awards so special, because these prizes are given to journalists by journalists. And if you haven't won yet tonight, or if you leave empty-handed, you can remind yourself that you're still having a better week than the folks at Canada Land.
And their errors. On a more serious note.
We call it comedic relief.
On to our 8 investigative categories. These celebrate the tenacity of our colleagues who keep pursuing stories, no matter how difficult the path, for the sake of public interest.
Donc, avec ces prix, on célèbre l'acharnement de journalistes qui refusent d'abandonner pour servir l'intérêt public, malgré tous les obstacles.
Journalists and publishers are facing financial, political, and technological pressures like never before. At the same time, politicians are finding new ways to avoid scrutiny, like Dougie or Danielle, to not name them, controlling who gets to ask questions, who gets in the room, or how long it takes to get ATIPs or FOIs.
C'est en effet un combat constant de convaincre nos patrons de nous donner le temps et les ressources nécessaires pour faire de l'enquête. So to all the nominees, congratulations and thank you all for what you do. Because opinion is cheap, right?
We know. Now let's get started with the first investigative category, written news.
Written news.
Nouvelles écrites. Sarah Maud Lafèvre et Félix Séguin. Munitions, chargeurs, viseurs optiques. Un jeu d'enfant de sortir du matériel militaire de la base de Valcartier, le Journal de Montréal.
Comment est-ce possible que ces pièces sortent de la base? Selon nos sources, certains militaires en charge de protéger les voûtes d'armes de Valcartier seraient négligents dans le contrôle de leur inventaire.
Guillaume Piedboeuf. Albertine Lapensée. Perdue et retrouvée. Radio-Canada.
Personne dans les gradins ne se doutait alors qu'Albertine Lapensée foulait la glace du Jubilé pour la dernière fois, qu'à peine un mois plus tard, elle allait embarquer dans un train pour New York et ne serait plus jamais vue.
Priscilla Plamondon Lalancette. Voici comment des réseaux criminels ont orchestré la venue d'étudiants africains au Canada. Radio-Canada. Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean.
Des réseaux criminels d'immigration ont berné des étudiants africains, des universités canadiennes et même les gouvernements du Québec et du Canada.
Amy Dempsey Raven and Megan Ogilvie. Failing Jade. Toronto Star.
During her final year in the care of Children's Aid, Jade received no meaningful treatment for her mental health conditions. Instead, she fell further into crisis.
Et le ou la gagnante de la médaille d'argent est Priscilla Plamondon-Lalancette, Radio-Canada, Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean. And winning gold in written news is Amy Dempsey Raven, Megan Ogilvie, the Toronto Star.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you to the CAJ for this honor. It's been such an inspiring night. I've cried twice, the father and the grandmother and the 40-year-old husband. I turned 40 this year too, so. I want to thank my reporting partner, Megan Ogilvie, who couldn't be here tonight, because reporting on child welfare, it can be heavy. It can be heavy, and I couldn't ask for a better person to do this work with. She is one of the hardest working people in the business and also one of the kindest, truly. So, Megan, yeah. I wish she could be here with me, but she had a previously scheduled trip with her family. I want to say that Megan and I, coming out of the pandemic, we're both moms, and we both are really aware of what's going on in our communities with children. And we're noticing a lot of things. She's a health reporter, I'm an investigative journalist. And we noticed how much children were struggling in our communities, but also in really vulnerable communities. And one of the things that we got together and talked about that made us so angry was that these children who during the pandemic didn't get the supports they need and were excluded from life were ending up, families were breaking down, and they were ending up at CAS in the care of Children's Aid because their families could not care for them anymore. And then Children's Aid didn't have access to any better services for them, so they were being housed in hotels. And there were lots of news stories about this, and Megan and I just thought, how can we as a society be accepting this as something that is just happening and we can do nothing about? So we decided to start from a perspective of outrage, Two reporters, both moms, and we were like, this is not cool. We're gonna report on this. So we spent a lot of time doing news stories about this, and then we got a tip. It was our editor-in-chief, Nicole McIntyre, who got this tip. I think I have the email on my phone. And Nicole really supported our work from day one. I want to thank her. She sent us this tip, and the email said, it told us about this girl, Jade, 15 years old, died in a hotel. And the person who wrote to us said, this death was preventable. She did not need to die in such a manner. Please investigate this for her. She needed drug rehabilitation, not a hotel. So we got on it right away. And Nicole knew how important this story was to us and supported our efforts through it all. So I want to thank Nicole. I want to thank Jade's parents, and the parents get me a little emotional, but I want to thank her parents because we couldn't have told the story about Jade without her parents, and they, know what it's like as journalists to reach out to parents who are in mourning about the death of a child. It's always a hard thing to do, and we did it. It was 3 days after she died. And we said, take your time, but we would love to tell Jade's story if and when you're ready. And they said yes, and they welcomed us into their lives, and they wanted her story told, and they wanted it to help other people, and it did. So thank you to Tim, Mona, and Nicole, Jade's parents, for sharing her story, for sharing stories about her life. I want to thank David Bruiser, Jesse McLean, and Priya Ramanujam, our editors on this story, who David and Jesse are my editors, and there are so many complex things to work through, and they really make every story that I write better. They're the best editors in the business. Hope nobody's here who would ever think about poaching them, because you can't. They're mine. And thank you to the judges in the written news category who read our 7,000-word story. I'm really grateful for this honor. Thank you. And Jade, I wish I could have met you, girl, because you were awesome, and it's too fucking bad what happened to you. Yeah.
Alors, la prochaine catégorie d'enquête est le prix Hugo Rodrigue pour médias communautaires.
Hugo Rodriguez Community News Award.
Prix Hugo Rodriguez pour médias communautaires.
Justin Brake and Derek Montague. Labrador doctor continues practicing while under investigation following complaints from at least 20 women. The Independent.
When she decided to try for another child, she went to have the reverse procedure done and get her tubes untied. But that's when she says another doctor informed her that her fallopian tubes had been removed altogether.
Jennifer Hamilton McCharles. North Bay Mayor's credit card scandal. North Bay Nugget. North Bay Mayor Peter Chirico charged a number of personal expenses to the city's corporate credit card that were flagged by the city's standard financial oversight processes. A 2-hour in-camera meeting took place Tuesday evening to discuss the issue. Nicholas Hune Brown. After the International Student Gold Rush. The Local.
The enduring story of immigration in the 21st century will be of countries like Canada fighting to attract the best in the world. The story in Brampton in January 2025 is of the government pushing out people who are desperate to stay.
Larry Pinn. Unauthorized landfill on Cowichan Tribes Reserve leading pollutants into Cowichan River. Six Mountains. The unauthorized waste, construction, and demolition debris, residential waste, derelict RV trailers, plastics, metals, and other unmanaged material violates the Environmental Management Act. Daniel Takama. What happened to the Wolf Island Ferry? CBC Kingston.
Ontario's Ministry of Transportation failed to retrieve data it acknowledged was crucial for accident investigators after the Wolf Islander 4 ran aground.
So the silver winner is Daniel Takuma, CBC Kingston. And the gold for the Hugo Rodrigue Award for Community News goes to Larry Pinn of Six Mountains. I think he is on Zoom.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Can.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is a real honor. I had a long career at the Vancouver Sun, including the last 25 years as an environment reporter. And in 2018, I took early retirement and moved to the Cowichan Valley of Vancouver Island. And that was the idea, was to retire, but I saw that there just wasn't in-depth coverage at the local basis in the community. So I just felt a need to fill that niche, and I started a blog called Six Mountains. And it's grown over the years, and it's brought investigative reporting to the Cowichan Valley. We've had many successes along the way, I guess it's been one of the most rewarding acts of journalism I've been able to accomplish, to see impacts that one person, supposedly retired, can make in their community. Everything from finding poachers to of trees and helping to get the fines changed. And in the case here, it was a series of unauthorized landfills on First Nations Reserve that I was able to investigate. And only after I got two or three articles into the series did other major news outlets follow the story. And so I just want to say thank you very much. I do this with no safety net. I have nobody back me up if I'm sued, but that hasn't been an issue despite some threats. I have a rigorous commitment to factual reporting, and that's what keeps me going and helping the community. And I want to just say thank you to the CAJ and to recognize all the other nominees. And thank you much for this award. It means a lot.
Lots of journalists never really retire. Okay, on to our next category.
Broadcast over 5 minutes.
Reportage diffusé plus de 5 minutes.
George Barrera, Brenda Whitmer, and Usama Farag. Project Octopus. Video evidence reveals inner workings of human smuggling investigation. CBC News Investigative Unit.
This is the story of how a human smuggling network sent 2 families to their deaths, even as the RCMP closed in to take them down.
Avery Haynes, Joseph Loyaro, Angelo Altomare, and Jerry Vino. W5's Avery Haynes investigates. Sleeping with the Enemy. CTV News, Bell Media, Inc.
These aren't just drugs, they're chemical weapons, a toolkit used by an online global network of men who secretly drug, rape, and record their crimes.
Jeff Leo, Albert Lung, Joan Weber, and Joanna Dragic. Hard to Swallow, CBC Investigates.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dane Goodnow.
The sales pitch is extraordinary. Unheard of, really.
Stopping the progression of ALS actually isn't that hard.
Tamara Pimentel, APTN Investigates, Skin Deep, APTN.
People say, you know, you're in till you're dead, or you're just, it's a commitment or whatever, like you're in for life and this and that, but no, you don't have to be.
TVO Team, News Deserts, TVO.
The last edition of this paper will be published in February 2026, but the Eganville Leader isn't alone. Hundreds of local newspapers, radio stations, and TV channels have closed down in recent years, right across the country, leaving behind what some call news deserts.
So we actually have 2 golds in this category and no silver. The first gold winner in broadcast over 5 minutes goes to Avery Haynes, Joseph Loraro, Angelo Altomare, and Jerry Vino of CTV's W5.
Say hi, Avery.
Thank you very much. Just because of where we are today, I want to tell just a really quick story. My dad always wanted me to become a Mountie. He was a Mountie. 5 of my uncles were Mounties, and he said, listen, it's a really good pension, and you get bad guys for a living. And I didn't become a Mountie. Instead, I actually came here to Carleton, and I got a journalism degree. And little did I know that many years later, I'll be part of this tiny, powerful team who gets bad guys for a living. And so it's thanks to our DOP, Jerry Vino, who's a wonderful guy and a great friend of mine too, producer Joe Luero, editors Paul Flynn and Angela Altomare, and of course the extraordinary Avery Haynes. Avery Haynes infiltrated a massive global group of predators who drugged and sexually assaulted their partners, videotaped it, and shared it, posting thousands and thousands of videos. And we were shocked by the immensity of this group, and we also were shocked by how easy it was to access it and infiltrate this group. The great thing about this investigation is it resulted in more than 60 criminal charges in both Canada and in Switzerland. And actual breaking news for you that we just put yesterday. On Thursday, a man who was charged in Hamilton pleaded guilty to 21 of those charges. What better evidence is there that investigative journalism works? This one really means a lot to us. Thank you very much. This is an honor. Thank you.
And the second gold in broadcast over 5 minutes goes to Jeff Leo, Albert Long, Joan Weber, and Joanna Dadici of CBC Investigates.
not Jeff Leo, Albert Leong, or anyone else on there. And I was hoping Jeff Leo would be here. This is really a Jeff Leo story and an Albert Leong story, but it's through his passion and determination. I'm the senior producer of the CBC unit. We support journalism like this across the country, and we're extremely privileged to be able to do that for somebody like Jeff Leo. We are, of course, under a legal hold and legal threat from the work he does, but we are privileged to be able to do that work. We are so lucky. This guy has been saying that he can cure ALS. Clearly he cannot. So kudos to Jeff Leo, Albert Leong, and the whole team. Thank you.
Okay, so our next category is for shorter broadcast stories.
Broadcast under 5 minutes.
Reportage diffusé moins de 5 minutes. Daniel Boilly et David Gentil. Itinérance. Comment cohabiter avec le campement. Radio-Canada, Montréal.
Juste à côté des résidences, un gros monticule de déchets signale l'entrée d'un campement. Y a quelqu'un? Bienvenue dans le boisé Vimont, où on retrouve une dizaine d'abris.
Marie-Claude Paradis-Desfossés. Dénonciation, plainte et suicide dans un centre de traitement des dépendances pour les Premières Nations. Novo.
On a décidé d'envoyer une correspondance auprès du conseil d'administration pour avoir de l'information concernant une enquête qui aurait eu lieu. Ce que nous avons eu comme réponse, c'est que c'était impossible de pouvoir avoir l'information recherchée.
Omar Sashadina, Kirk's Journey, CTV News, Bell Media, Inc.
The expectations are high, so he always needs to perform at his peak. But for years, he's battled a neurological condition called essential tremors. The uncontrollable shaking starts when he reaches for an object.
Alors, le gagnant du prix argent est Omar Sachini-Dina, CTV News.
You're a regular now.
Just pull up a chair. Alors, la gagnante de l'or est Marie-Claude Paradis-Desfossés, nouveau.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you. Mon Dieu, je ne m'y attendais pas pantoute. Cette histoire-là, ça a commencé, j'étais en train de couvrir la journée Vérité-Réconciliation à la TUC, en Abitibi, à Picogan, proche de l'ancien site du pensionnat de Saint-Marc-de-Figuerie. Et il y a des contacts qui me disent « Marie, tu devrais fouiller sur ce qui se passe à la TUC, donc un centre pour traiter les dépendances des Premières Nations. » Quand on traite les histoires autochtones, ça veut dire beaucoup d'heures dans la voiture, je vous le confirme, beaucoup de kilomètres, puis il faut demander au patron aussi de nous laisser partir. Donc, merci à mes patrons à Nouveau Info de me donner carte blanche dans mes histoires de Premières Nations. Ça fait 20 ans que je suis journaliste, ça fait 20 ans que j'en couvre, et ça n'a jamais été aussi facile pour moi de le faire, d'avoir une grande liberté journalistique. Donc, j'ai une pensée ce soir pour la famille de Martin Parent, qui est un militaire Innu, qui s'est enlevé la vie après avoir été mise à la porte du centre pour des raisons qui ne valaient pas du tout la peine. Donc, la famille m'a aidé à refaire un peu l'histoire, à trouver les pièces du casse-tête qui manquaient, malgré le fait qu'on cachait d'informations. Il y a aussi des travailleurs du centre qui ont accepté de me parler à visage caché, off the record, on the record. En tout cas, ça a été une longue enquête. Ça s'est fait sur plusieurs mois. Des anciens pensionnaires aussi qui sont passés à travers leur trauma pour raconter ce qu'ils avaient vécu. Donc, quand on couvre ces histoires-là, ça prend du temps, ça prend des liens de confiance aussi. Je me sens privilégiée. Et tantôt, je vous disais que ça prend plusieurs kilomètres aussi dans la voiture. Et j'avais une réflexion en revenant de la TUC. Et je me disais, Je me trouvais chanceuse, en fait, que les Premières Nations, autant les intervenants que les sources me parlent ouvertement comme ça et m'accueillent, parce que c'est pas comme ça, on en parlait si souvent que ça dans nos médias. Donc, je suis très reconnaissante pour ça. Alors, Tinashe Kumeten, à la famille de Martin Parent, cet homme-là, puis merci à mes patrons, puis à vous autres aussi. D'ailleurs, congrats to the other nominees. You do also a great job. Je pense que c'est vraiment inspirant d'être ce soir puis de voir tout ce qui se fait de meilleur au pays. Merci beaucoup.
Moving on with our next category, community broadcast.
Community broadcast.
Journalisme diffusé communautaire.
Jules Bugle. Plan to move and divide Jerry Pool has locals asking why. CKUT Radio 90.3 FM Frequency News.
Even before I moved to Park X, I would come here all the time,
Yeah.
and it's like, why would they ever change it?
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
so in use. Who asked for these changes? That is the question.
Ryan Cook. Pure Hell. CBC Newfoundland and Labrador.
Okay, team, listen up. This one's a little bit of a different situation than our last hit.
Guy Queenville and Mathieu Deroy. The St. Pius X school shooting 50 years later. CBC Ottawa.
Set the house on fire, gets on his bike and ambles over to Pius with the gun. It was like you were in a horror film, except it was real.
Yesterday in Ottawa, Rob Poulin took a shotgun into his school, fired into a classroom, and he stepped outside the classroom and killed himself.
Savannah Stewart and Justin Kahn. Palestine on Campus. The Rover.
We saw riot cops, we saw mounted police, and we saw drones. McGill claims that they were not involved in that action, or they didn't tell them to come, etc., but they certainly did not tell them to leave.
For our Silver Award, congratulations to Guy Quenneville and Mathieu Deroy, CBC Ottawa. Et les gagnants, le gagnant pour l'or, Ryan Cook, CBC Newfoundland and Labrador for gold.
Wow, count me among the people who didn't prepare anything. I guess first of all, I thank my wife who was home pregnant at the time when I went on a 20-day trip on a Navy ship in the Caribbean, my cruise, as she likes to call it. This was a really ambitious project for a small local newsroom, essentially tracking the flood of cocaine from Colombia to CAJ, a new First Nation in Labrador. So a big thank you to Scott Lunn, who is here somewhere today. Scott over here was my managing editor at the time. Went to him with every request, and it was just, what do you need? Which was much appreciated. Big thanks to Katie Breen, who worked with me on this project from beginning to end. She was my shooter, my editor, and kept me sane throughout the whole project. And lastly, big thanks to Peter Panashwe. Peter welcomed us to his community, into his home, and really highlighted why this was such an important issue. Peter, of course, was a former cabinet minister who plunged a crowbar through a drug dealer's car window and really set off this entire process. So thanks to Peter. All right, thank you.
Now on to our data category.
Data journalism.
Journalisme de données.
Julia Simone Rutgers and Mulak Abbas. Balancing Act or Disaster. Winnipeg's Transit Overhaul Mapped. The Narwhal and Winnipeg Free Press. As the cost of living continues to rise, improved transit service will become more necessary in neighborhoods currently feeling left behind. Edmonton Journal and MacEwan University team, Risky Restaurants, Edmonton Journal and MacEwan University.
Less than a quarter of Edmonton's food establishments comply with food safety regulations, and 40% still had violations after a follow-up inspection.
Équipe Radio-Canada. Y a-t-il de la surenchère dans votre quartier? Radio-Canada.
Jusqu'ici épargnée, la capitale nationale est devenue, depuis le début de l'année, l'épicentre de la surenchère dans la province. En moyenne, les maisons s'y vendent 37 000 $ au-dessus du prix affiché et les condos, 17 000 $.
Rory White and David Mackay, mapping the dark money oil and gas ads targeting a small Ontario town. Canada's National Observer.
The CAJ purports to belong to a continuously curious digital artist who set it up to share her oil and gas themed artwork.
So the silver prize goes to Rory White and David Mackay, Canada's National Observer. C'est beau à voir. And gold in this year's Data Journalism Award is presented to the team at Edmonton Journal and MacEwan University.
Oh, wow, this is great. This is amazing. This was the first partnership that MacEwan did with the Edmonton Journal, and I really like to thank Dave Breckenridge for taking a chance on this, that we could create what I call the teaching hospital model, that myself, my students, and his reporters could all work together on a major investigation. So thank you to my 15 students that I put through a very, very difficult experience, but they did great. We gathered 52,000 health inspection records over a 38-month period. They did 200 interviews and discovered things were shocking. I had no idea that work was going on in Alberta's restaurants. A few other people I want to thank. First to the CAJ for making this possible, and to my fellow nominees. We're truly inspired by all the investigative work that comes out of here, and inspires me to dig deeper and work harder. You know, I think this shows you the vital importance of collaborative work, right? We're all suffering from a lack of resources, and we are stronger together, and I like to bridge those gaps between journalism schools and industry, and I want you to think about those types of partnerships that you can get things done. Alberta changed its policies after our stories came out, so there's going to be increased enforcement, increased training because of our reporting, so you can actually make a positive difference. Lastly, I'd like to give a shout out to my wife, Sarah. We have 2 young boys at home. We're 2 and 6. I think she's watching the live broadcast. So thank you for letting me come here and accept the award in person. And to Parker and Avery, I will be home for bedtime stories tomorrow night. So looking forward to it. Thank you.
La prochaine catégorie, les médias en ligne.
Online media.
Médias en ligne.
Rob Chernick, Tara Michelle Ziniuk, Angela Mullins, Julie Carl, and Tobin Ing. This online scam is putting the LGBTQ2S+ global activist community at risk. Extra. One particular detail left Atsuvia perplexed. The conference was willing to cover the cost of return flights, but not the registration fee. Nicholas Hune Brown, investigating a possible scammer in journalism's AI era. The Local.
Over the next week, I got a flood of story ideas from people from around the world. One pitch in particular seemed promising, from a writer named Victoria Goldie.
Stephen Marr and Connor Killoran, Separatism in Canada, Ricochet Media.
Canada is a loose federation with a loose social contract. It allows for hyphenation. You don't even have to believe in it deeply because it's just an architecture for living in such a way that people don't bother each other very much.
Charlie Pinkerton and Jessica Smith Cross, Meet the Bagman, The Trillium.
There isn't much about Miele's work nowadays that can be found publicly, yet sources describe him as a powerful figure behind the scenes, an influential presence with a reputation for getting things done.
Taylor West, Muskoka Boat Rentals, Investigation into Withheld Deposits and Alleged Fraud, Muskoka 411.
The consequences, sources say, go beyond financial loss. They point to a business model that undermines safety, erodes trust in the tourism industry, and puts the region's reputation at risk.
And silver in online media goes to Stephen Marr and Connor Killoran, Ricochet Media. Steve is not here. He must be on his boat in the Bahamas. That's what I thought.
Just a little jealous.
Elor and gold goes to Rob Zerniak, Tara Michelle Ziniuk, Angela Mullins, Julie Carl, and Tobin Ing. Extra.
I wrote notes like 3 seconds ago on the very off chance after hearing other people panic. I'm not Rob, I'm Tara Michelle. I edited this story. This is really Rob's award. I want to thank the person who sent in this tip. I don't think I've ever signed off a tip before. I've also never edited an investigation before. And I didn't know that Rob was really interested in scams, but he was, and he was like the perfect person and just happened to be in my inbox at the time. I want to thank Angela Mullins for being the second editor, Tobin Ing for being the fact checker, Jennifer McGuire for overseeing the project at large, Shannon Wibbs for copy editing, Julie Carl for taking it over the finish line, all the people who shared their experience and were vulnerable and let themselves tell these stories. And I want to say that there was some speculation from the charitable sector in Canada that exposing this fake charity was going to make them look bad. And I actually really think that exposing these types of fraudulent groups makes the charitable sector look better and the real people doing the real work for real LGBT causes. So I want to thank them as well. Thanks.
And now for the final investigative category being presented this evening.
Freedom of Information Journalism.
Journalisme du droit à l'information. Thomas Jaubin, Marianne Despeteaux et Thomas Deshaies. La production de canneberge risque de vider des rivières si elle grossit encore. Radio-Canada.
Les cannebergières sont tellement gourmandes en eau que l'expansion de cette industrie pourrait utiliser toute la ressource de certains secteurs du centre du Québec.
Jean-Thomas Léveillé. Protection du caribou. Le plan qui était à un poil d'aboutir. La presse.
Il aura fallu 17 mois à la presse pour obtenir l'information révélée dans cet article, qui est le résultat d'une demande d'accès à l'information adressée en 2024 au ministère des Ressources naturelles et des Forêts.
Hiren Munsukani. Disaster Deep Below. How Calgary's catastrophic feeder main failure was decades in the making. Calgary Herald and Calgary Sun.
She found it beyond coincidental that the same stretch of the pipe which had burst had been monitored by the city for months. Pilarski posed a question to a Post-Media reporter in August. What were they checking?
Alana Smith. Interference in Alberta's measles response. The Globe and Mail.
Newly released documents paint a picture of how Alberta's measles outbreak began with a handful of isolated cases and started to grow into what is now the worst in North America, as public health measures to control spread in some cases proved ineffective.
Jessica Smith Cross. Hands-on care in long-term care. The Trillium.
The data show a wide disparity between homes, with some recording barely an hour of care per resident per day, and others well exceeding the target of 3 hours and 42 minutes. The difference between those numbers is quality of life.
Okay, so the awards sponsor, FOI Guru Ken Rubin, is here with us tonight. So just invite him. Yes.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to thank the 3,000 public employees who worked endlessly for the last 3 weeks to write this. They wish to remain anonymous, silent, and repressed. Now, this is the 5th year of our sponsoring the award for a story produced using FOI. As for the wonderful entries, I never thought I would look at producing cranberries I eat differently or rethink measles outbreaks. I learned more, too, about long-term homes, broken and uncared for water mains, and broken caribou herd promises. But I wish I could say that FOI regimes were not making it harder for journalists and others to uncover data, such as the entries have done, that governments would prefer to keep secret. With the Ford government entry into the race with Alberta, BC, Nova Scotia, the Northwest Territories, and the federal government to claim the title as the worst FOI act in Canada, we are more and more seeing governments trying to censor and control what is in requests, how many requests you are allowed to file, and ways to exclude more and more records from coverage. We applaud the CAJ for setting up a working group to look at the legal intervention options and to document these regressive changes in FOI, and we will be supporting this endeavor. Our advocacy fund is now at a special point, having in nearly 25 years given out over 100 social change advocacy grants on a wide range of issues worth close to $250,000. One of our recent grants went to developing a local newsroom made up of vulnerable people from the community of East Hastings and Vancouver called The Shift, to their helping put out the community's megaphone monthly newspaper. Another grant being done right now went to Project Plowshares, to creating an electronic database for knowing about Canadian military exports to the United States. A third grant last Saturday went to a Notion Awareness Day involving hundreds and hundreds of people at the Halifax Discovery Center. Now, as one who has filed thousands and thousands of requests over 6 decades, I say to you all that you must persist, you never give up. The entries were all wonderful. And I don't know if I'm supposed to congratulate the winners or you guys do it.
You can't. We're going to announce them.
Oh, okay. Well,
Congratulations.
well, I say to the silver, the gold, and the rest, you did well.
Alors, le gagnant de la médaille d'argent est Jean-Thomas Léveillé, La Presse. Bravo. And the gold prize goes to Alana Smith, the Globe and Mail. She's on Zoom.
Oh, the joy Joys of Zoom.
Can you hear me now? Oh no.
We can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Amazing. I was just saying, excuse where I'm at. I'm in the back of a room. I'm at a wedding. But this is such an honor. So thank you so much, everybody. You know, I think I echo a lot of sentiment there today, but freedom of information is really under threat, especially in provinces like Ontario. It is such an incredible tool for journalists, and it really helps us get to facts and information that we otherwise would have no way of getting to. So I cannot stress its importance, and just stress that everybody should be using it. It can be really daunting and scary, but you learn so many different things from FOI. Even if you didn't even put in a request for something, you may learn something interesting, like that's not related to that request. So I just wanted to stress that it's an incredible tool. It does take a lot of time to learn it, but once you got it, it really, really kicks ass, if I can say that on Zoom. Sorry, bleep me out. But thank you so much for this incredible honor. I really appreciate it.
All right. The wedding. Wow. Bon, on se trouve presque à la fin de la soirée. Plus qu'un prix à remettre. Vous avez été bons quand même, là, c'est long. Le dernier prix de la soirée est un hommage à Don McGillivray, journaliste canadien originaire de la Saskatchewan. Il a couvert la politique et l'économie pendant plus de 40 ans, en plus de cofonder l'organisme qui est maintenant connu comme l'Association canadienne des journalistes. Il est mort en 2003, ayant changé le monde du journalisme canadien. Ce Grand Prix est remis chaque année aux gagnants d'une des catégories d'enquête.
Our last award of the night is the Don McGillivray Award. This award is named after political and financial journalist Don McGillivray, who passed away in 2003 after a 40-year career. He was one of the CAJ's founding members and a past president. A special jury has chosen the recipient from the gold winners of our 8 investigative categories. Want to do it now? Or?
Now you can have the mic.
Okay.
Yeah, no, sometimes I pull rank here. I just wanted to say a few things quickly. First, I wanted to make sure, thank you so much to the audiovisual and the catering staff at Carleton for incredible show. Hope we sound and look good on Zoom, and we were fed so well, so thank you so much for that. Also, must give a very large thanks to the reason that I was bowled over laughing in my newsroom last week, because I was reading the script of Guillaume and Catherine, who've been tremendous. Thank you very, very much. Merci beaucoup. Bravo. And I just want to quickly say that the McGillivray Award is judged by a selection of board members, including myself, and I found these pieces of the winners of the investigative categories to judge them. It was infuriating for 3 reasons. One, it was infuriatingly hard to pick this award, the winner of this. 2, infuriatingly good. Like, how? It's amazing. How do you do it? But also, like, I was infuriated by what you covered, by what you exposed, by the things you uncovered and the things you revealed. So congratulations to all of you. I would say you're all winners, but, well, I guess you are. But one of you gets the big prize. Thank you.
It was all those referendum jokes he was laughing about. So to refresh your memory, here are the different categories that will be chosen from. Written news, Amy Dempsey-Raven and Megan O'Gilvy, Toronto Star. Community news, Larry Pinn, 6 Mountains. In broadcast over 5 minutes, Avery Haynes, Joseph Lorero, Angelo Altamare, and Jerry Vino, W5CTV. And they also had the gold, Jeff Leo, Albert Lung, Joan Weber, Joanna Dragisi, CBC Investigates. In community broadcast, Ryan Cook, CBC Newfoundland and Labrador.
Nouvelle parlée, moins de 5 minutes, Marie-Claude Paradis-Desfossés, nouveau. Data journalism, the team at the Edmonton Journal and MacEwan University. Freedom of information, Alana Smith, the Globe and Mail. Online media, Rob Chernick, Tara Michelle Zinyak, Angela Mullins, Julie Carl, and Toby Ing. And now the big moment, roulement de tambour. À toi l'honneur.
And the 2025 Don McGillivray Award goes to CTV News and W5's Avery Haynes, Joseph Luero, Angela Altamare, and Jerry Vino for Sleeping with the Enemy.
Amazing.
Wow.
Thank you so much. There's a box for it too.
Avery went to bed, so I'm just recording.
Well, it's my turn not to be prepared for a speech. We didn't even see this one on the list. And 15 minutes ago, I said to Jerry, great, I can start pounding beer now.
And he did.
Which I did. It's not broken. Okay. You know, as you may know, 3 years ago, W5 stopped being a weekly show after 58 years. And we were all devastated and terrified by what that meant. What we didn't realize is that instead of doing 22 one-hour episodes a year, where invariably you get a little bit of filler in there, when you are doing 4 and you are serving national news on a regular basis, the quality of your journalism goes up. And we have all been surprised, even ourselves, we have been surprised at the quality of the journalism that we've been able to do. And those 4 instead of 20, we feel that we've become filmmakers and excellent documentarians. And so this is a really great thrill for us. Thank you so much. After such a terrible scare and devastation, for us to come out of the ashes this way and to continue to be relevant is something that is extremely gratifying. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Those stairs, man.
They're a hazard. Oh là là.
C'est à toi.
Il y a ton nom dessus. Ah, est-ce que...
Il a pas commencé à voir,
At least we waited for the end to fuck up. Okay. Et c'est ce qui Et c'est ce qui conclut la fin de notre programme ce soir. Merci à tous ceux dans la salle ici à Ottawa. Merci à tous ceux qui nous ont suivis en ligne aussi. Félicitations à tous les finalistes, tous les gagnants. On espère vous revoir l'année prochaine à Winnipeg for the CAJ 27. Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure. It was really an honor to be with you guys. It's always very revigorant d'entendre vos histoires. Thanks, Jason, for the invitation. And yeah, thanks you guys.
Thank you for spending time with us in Ottawa, a sleepy city, but we're having fun, truly. And to everyone who joined in online, congratulations to all our finalists and our recipients. We hope to see many of you again next year in Winnipeg. Now, go pound some beers, enjoy, and good night. Bonne soirée tout le monde! Merci!
Thank you, Jason. Thanks, man. Sorry. Oh.
No, that was amazing. Yo, don't forget this.